Well, of course, I feel, as everybody does, a huge amount of sympathy for the loss of Jack Merritt's family, and indeed for all the relatives of Jack and Saskia who perished at London Bridge. But be in no doubt, I've campaigned against early release and against short sentences for many years. It was in my manifesto in 2012 when I was Mayor of London. I said it in August, and it's in the Queen's Speech. In fact, there's a bill we've got ready to go in the Queen's Speech to stop automatic early release for serious and violent offenders. And I do think that, unfortunately, that is the problem that we face. We have too many people who are released automatically onto our streets, and we need to address that. Now, if we can get this Parliament fixed then and get that bill through, then we will.
But
well, I think any impartial assessment of the situation would concede that he was sentenced to a period in prison and was also subject to 16 years plus 5 years on licence, and then was subject to automatic early release, having only served 2 years on remand, 6 years or 8 years altogether. And I don't think that was long enough in view of the gravity of his offence, which was to conspire to blow up the stock exchange and to cause other types of mayhem, and in view of the view that was taken of him by the initial sentencing judge, Judge Wilkie. And looking at what Judge Wilkie had to say about him, it's clear that he was viewed as a very serious threat. And my feeling is very simple. Our job is to keep the public safe, and that's why I've campaigned for so long against automatic early release. And as I say, we have a bill to fix that. What I would like to see happen is to get that bill through. To do that, we need to fix this parliament. And when we look at some of the problems that we come across in trying to de-radicalise people, we have to face I think the grim reality that in some cases it is really very difficult. And I think this was one of those cases. And alas, I think it was pretty obvious from the kinds of things he was saying and the kinds of things that he continued to say that he was not really a suitable candidate for automatic early release. Yet under the law as it stood when he was sentenced, and you know, that was the 2008 legal system, there was no parole board, there was no probation system, there was no means of reviewing his release. He was just sprung automatically. And what I'm saying is that our job is to keep the public safe, and that's what we want to do. In his case, I think that probably is true, that some people can't be rehabilitated, and I think that it varies very widely, but there are unquestionably some cases that are just too tough to crack, and alas, he appears to have been one of them. And I'm afraid it was probably clear from the outset that would be so. When I stood in 7 years ago as Mayor of London, I said exactly the same thing. I said the same thing in August, and I think what I also think is that you should try to rehabilitate people, and you should try to change things where you can. I certainly believe in education in prison, and I believe that's why we're putting 2.5 billion into prison. I want to try to turn people's lives around if you can, but you have to be realistic. And what you mustn't have is a system of automatic early release. And it was the automaticity that I'm afraid let us down here, because in the end the law had no choice but to let him out and then to hope that things would turn out well. I don't think that was a reasonable expectation given what we knew about him.